It's Thursday, so welcome back to the Modcast, the ever popular Modcast, with three of the four that is here. But once again, it's three of the most important ones, which also means, guys, we will be able to talk today uninterrupted. I'm clearly going to be filling in for Jeff Ketchum today. So obviously it's Anwar Richardson, Jason Suchomel, Alex Dunlap is here. Everyone will be coming in pretty shortly. So before we get too far down the road, for everyone that's there, hit like for the video. Just off the rip, before we even get too far into it, appreciate it. Hit the like button, hit subscribe if you have not subscribed to the channel, so you know when everything is going on this channel, and you'll know when videos are posted, comments are posted, all those other kind of things that you need. And feel free to hit like, hit subscribe. Listen, man, you've had the first day of practice. It is hot as hell. Let me just do a temperature check real quick and check and see how you guys are doing. Alex, how are you doing? How's your lawn doing? How are you holding up here in August?
Don't have much of a lawn, man. I live out here in Spicewood on the side of a cliff, so it's like I don't have much of a. I have a little bit of a lawn there by the pool area, and it's been okay. Other than that, not much of a lawn. We need rain though, man, bad. I got neighbors with wells going dry. The lake is only at 52% full. I can't put in at my neighborhood boat launch. I can't even put in at Siesta Shores. There's only 2 places on the lake I could put in. Pretty soon, any boat you see out on Lake Travis is going to be owned by somebody that also owns like a slip in a marina. Like, people just can't put in right now. So yeah, we need rain. We need something to come park over us and just stay on top of us for a few days.
I was watching the news this morning, Alex. It looks like starting on, I think, was it tomorrow or Friday? It's going to be like 20 to 30% chance for like the next 5 days. Not a lot.
Yay, 20%. Look at us celebrating 20%.
You know what I've just started saying whenever I hear that stuff, I say, nope, it's not happening. It's just never going to rain again. That's what Armadillo Slim on the board has started doing, is the whole reverse jinx. So I think I'm going to start doing that as well.
Well, yeah, we do that for fantasy football a ton. What about you, Jason? I mean, temperature check for you. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Still probably sweating from yesterday's practice, but my dumb ass, usually I've gotten the habit on where I'm trying to go out for runs, and I've been going out around noon, which is not smart.
Oh,
but
wow.
yeah, man, I got to sweat off some pounds somehow, some way. But yeah, man, I'm hanging in there, man. It'll be another hot practice this afternoon, but I'll be battle tested for it at this point. So.
Jason, aren't you supposed to get the summer bod before the summer hit, not at the very end of the summer?
Well, let me explain. We took a beach trip. I took vacation a few weeks ago. My family went to the beach, and every time I told my sister-in-law was with us, I told her this. I said, every time I go to the beach, then it makes me want to lose weight, because I look at myself as I'm laying there like, oh, this beer belly sticking out. So yeah, it works. It works in reverse order for me, Anwar, but we'll see.
Yeah. Every time I've gone to the beach, I've just looked for the guy with the most money and just realized, like, all right, like that has to be my aspiration, so I don't have to work out. So that's all it is. So let's go ahead with super chat already from Brandon, getting it started off. Hook 'em, free Moro Jomo. Rob is a clown. No Jeff Ketchum, drunk uncle. Oh man. And you spelled uncle wrong, but it's okay, Brandon. It's okay, Brandon. It's all right. You for $5, it's worth it.
He can spell it however he wants, right?
For $5, yeah, you can call me anything. But free Moro Jomo at some point. We hopefully will see him. Speaking of seeing, we got a chance to see a portion of practice. Training camp got kicked off on Wednesday, and all three of us were out there sweating it up, but being able to partake and see what's going on. And I'll start with you, Jason, and then I'll go to Alex, because I feel like Alex is going to have the most information. So I'll start. I'll start with the warm up act, and then I'll go to the headliner. No pressure at all, Alex. Jason, from what you were witnessing out there, give me like one takeaway. Maybe it's a circumstance, maybe it's a position group. Maybe it's a player. But give me like one of your takeaways that you had after seeing everything on Wednesday.
Well, yeah, you're right. It's different for me, Anwar, as we've kind of started to do. You two are taking notes and kind of watching everything, and I'm literally focused through a camera lens, like on one guy at a time. So I don't get to take in the broad scope of things the way y'all do. But we were able to get pretty close to the offensive lineman, which was nice because that was one of my objectives. Always you want to get pictures of the quarterbacks, but I wanted to get pictures of the freshman offensive linemen. And I know Alex will have a lot to say about those guys, and it's not surprising to me. I've seen Cam Williams before, but he is just such a large human being. I got a picture of him standing next to the water bottle girl. And I mean, I think he's literally twice her height, probably 3 times her weight, if not more than that, maybe 4 times her weight. But Cam Williams size, and I tell you, Kelvin Banks as a true freshman, to me, already looks like $1 million. So I thought the offensive lineman, the young offensive lineman, kind of lived up, just physically lived up to what you would want them to with all the hype coming in with those guys. And the other thing that every time I looked up, and I'm drawing a blank, who's the Iowa State receiver transfer?
Tariq Milton.
Milton, thank you. Yeah, man, he was running second team, right? Which I guess was maybe somewhat expected. I don't know, maybe not. But every time Jordan Whittington would take a rep, boom, he was right there behind him. And so again, it's one practice. We'll see, but that tells me that they're going to probably work him into that rotation pretty quickly and see how he responds.
Yeah, I was, definitely just, again, I'll get to Alice in a second because I'll give you one of my things was, you see it obviously in the pictures, everything you've written, obviously, Jason, from a recruiting perspective about the offensive lineman and the size. And of course, you see the numbers. And then when you see it in person and you're standing within a few feet of them and you tell to yourself, like, okay, yeah, these are massive human beings. Like you can see the build up for the SEC and what that looks like. I found that to be extremely impressive. Whose phone keeps buzzing? Like, what is going on over here?
And me, mine's in my pocket.
I'm not there buzzing. I got a message from a Slack message, but hey, Cam Williams, I'll move my phone just to be safe. Cam Williams on the official roster, 6'7", 374.
Which is interesting because to me he didn't look bigger than he was when I first saw him, at least, Jason, at that Dallas Rivals camp. I think at that one he came in at 360 something. And I honestly thought whenever I saw him there at practice, I thought he looked like he'd slimmed down a little bit. Maybe it's just he lost a little bit of baby fat, added some muscle. He didn't look quite as pudgy though. You know what I mean? He didn't. He's just kind of grown up a little
that
bit.
Weight so well. I'm trying to remember. Like I'd have to pull up my old stories. I talked to Cam so much, but I think there was one time, Alex, when he was about 390. I want to say he dropped
that could
370. Was hopeful to get 350. Yeah, again, I'd have to go through all my old stories and kind of read through that. Take me some time. I'm pretty sure I'm remembering correctly that he was about 390 at one point. So,
hey, Alex, before you get into your thoughts,
I'm looking at now. No, I'm sorry, guys. As I look at, he was 360, so I'm way off and trying to get to 340. So
I thought it was 360. I thought it was 363 at that Rivals camp. But regardless, man, God, his arms are so long. His hands. I mean, do you remember when I measured his hands? I got his hand size back then. Yes. It was like 11 and 5/8 inch hand. Like he's just got these giant paws, these giant long arms. He's going to be a beast, dude. I've never been more sure of it than I was yesterday. It always takes some time. It takes some time, as these high school recruits come in, and it sometimes takes some time. But there's some of these guys when you just have to see them on the field with other college prospects, and that's when it's like, everything that I've thought about this player. Now I know that he looks completely at home, and not only that, he looks like he's a big, just a big, massive beast of a guy with the way he can move. It's just like it's very obvious that guy's going to be good.
Alex, there's a question on the screen, and I want to kind of get into your training camp thoughts. Jay Lee with a super chat says, with a D that needs all the help it can get, isn't our score fast / big play offense always going to be our own worst enemy? And how do we combat that? Got any thoughts on what Jay is saying here? Scoring fast, but then you're going to put your defense right back out. And I get with him saying that's going to be potentially a liability. Can continue to do that.
Well, I'd say two things. There are two things here. Sark or any other coach worth his salt is going to say if you can get the score, you take the score. I mean, you'd rather have the score and worry about the ramifications of that score for you later, because the ramifications against the other team are going to be worse because you're the one that just put the score on their ass, right? Secondly, I think what Coach Sark would say is that, complementary football is important, right? I think we've heard him talk about complementary football and how it's something that they have to focus on and something that they have to take into account moving forward. But what he'd also say is, look, with these offensive linemen that we're bringing in, I'm not sure if you've had a look at this running back room that we got with Bijan Robinson and Roshan Johnson and Keelan Robinson and even these guys. I mean, Jonathan Brooks looks good. These guys, they got the young guys like Jaden Blue. Have you seen these guys? I don't think grinding the clock is going to be a problem for us. If we need to do that, if we're in a situation where we find ourselves needing to do that, we're going to do it. But yes, this is. I think Sark would say, dude, have you heard my slogan? It's all gas, no brakes. We're going to try and score. We're going to go balls out. We're going to try and do this. But we do have the personnel in place to where if we do need to go to that brand of complementary football, if we do see that the defense is dragging ass, if we, that's something that we do need to keep in mind. And so I don't think that it's anything where the offense is always going to be its own worst enemy to the team because of the way that it affects the defense. I just don't think that that's the way that they see it.
Yeah, I totally would agree with you. So, all right, Alex. So, Jason gave me his thoughts. I talked a little bit about the offensive lineman. You're free to either piggyback and just give us your original thoughts, though, just after first day, things that, may have stood out to you.
A lot stood out to me. I've got home and wrote 2,000 words about a stupid, 4 windows of practice that were open. So people can go and read that on Orange Bloods. What stood to me most, man, that guy with the super chat earlier, he had the hashtag free Oro Ajomo. It's like that guy's kind of been freed, I think. He's lining up with the ones, which during spring camp, that was not the case. It was Alfred Collins the whole time. We really need to keep an eye on that. And I would say, Anwar, if you get to talk to any of your sources, you might want to ask him what's going on with Alfred Collins, because he was starting undisputedly in spring ball. It wasn't like Ajomo was hurt. Ajomo might have been in the doghouse for some of the stuff that didn't he have that kind of one interview the one day where he kind of went a little bit off script. I don't know if he might have I'm not sure if that had anything to do with it. But certainly Alfred Collins, he was working with a third team, guys. When we looked at what's going to happen with these defensive linemen, these interior defensive linemen, there are going to be some spots. You can already tell it already where they're going to have 3 of these big interior defensive linemen in there at once. And what looks sort of like a 5-man front with that edge player sort of flexed off in more of a linebacker spot. When that happens, it feels like the first guy that's going to get the call is probably going to be Tavondre Sweat. It feels like that guy's kind of mixing in with the first group in weird ways, like sub-package-like ways. But then not only is there Sweat who's doing that instead of Alfred Collins, now when you look at the second group next to Byron Murphy that comes in, at least during pursuit drills, that's all we could really see. But I've been doing this for 10 years. I know that, when these teams, regardless of who the coach is, when you go to pursuit drills, they line up the guys, who are, with the first defense they've assigned and the second defense and the third defense. And so if you can get your eyes on it and you can write it down fast enough, you can, understand sort of who's at least being looked at like this. With the second group, it's Byron Murphy, and next to him is Vernon Broughton at defensive tackle. It's not to get to that third group until you see Alfred Collins go out there. So I wonder what's going on with him. I didn't hear anything about him being limited. I know that Luke Brockermeyer was also there with the third group, and I said, well, it's so funny to me that he's now running with the third group, whereas he started, in this regime's last season on the defensive side of the football, started out as the starter and basically kept that job, and I'm like, well, what's so much different now? It's the same players there. I got some pushback from that on the board from people saying, look, he's still 9 months off of ACL and stuff like that. So it's like, maybe that's the case. I don't know. I've heard anything about, any sort of, have you guys heard any evidence about Alfred Collins being hurt or him being held back or it's just
they were talking him up. I think Sark was just talking him up about a week or so ago.
Yeah. So I don't know. Let's keep an eye on that. Hey, we could go out there to practice today and you'll be, running with the ones or something like that. I don't know. Hopefully I'll be able to monitor that. Cause like I said, those defensive guys are 200, 250 yards away. And today, especially, my wife's out of town. I'm having to take my 2 kids out to practice with me, with them underfoot. So hopefully I'll be able to keep an eye on everything and kind of get updated on that, man, there's just a bunch of stuff. I could sit here and do a solo podcast for 2 hours.
Okay, well,
I mean,
do that.
if there's something you want to ask me about,
I got a specific one for you. I mean, because there's two specifics. But I'll start with the one, which is the people ask a lot about the offensive line. That's a huge point of concern and a huge point of emphasis. Texas is going out. They brought in 6 freshmen that are there. You had a chance to see them in up close and personal. Your initial impressions, day one impressions, what you saw from the line.
Okay, well, so just to give context, the first offensive line was from left to right. It was Andre Carrick at left tackle. It was Hayden Connor has now moved over to left guard. Center is Jake Majors. Now Junior Angelau has moved over to right guard from left guard where he's always played. And then at right tackle, they had Christian Jones. With the second group, they had sort of like this mix of walk-ons along with other sort of, back of the sort of second stringers from the spring who probably aren't going to be second stringers for long. At left tackle, Jalen Garth. At left guard, Max Merrill. At center, Logan Parr. Logan Parr will probably stay the second team center. And then they had a couple of walk-ons at the right guard and the right tackle. Then you see the third offensive line come out. And that's when you see that was all the freshmen, all the big boys. That was, well, not all of them, but this 5. It was Kelvin Banks at left tackle. It was Malik Agbo, 67 at left guard. It was Connor Robertson at center. It was 52 DJ Campbell at right guard, and it was 56 Cam Williams at right tackle. And so I think that when you see those guys, I guess the 2 that were sort of left off of there that didn't work in with that third group would have been Nato Omizulu, and then Agbo was with the second group. Oh, he was. The other one was Cole Hudson. Hudson wouldn't have been in there. Agbo 67, right? Agbo 67.
So Cole Hudson was working with what group? Agbo 67.
He was just he was working out with the guards. To me, I don't understand why they didn't have him at right guard with the second group.
That's surprising because he did so well in the spring. Yeah, maybe they were just kind of.
I mean, he didn't. I wouldn't say he did so well. He was certainly thrust up into the first group there at the very end. Whenever Hayden Connor
moved to left tackle. Freshman, man.
Right, but I went to bed last night thinking about that in my head, and I think that the reason why it's like I don't think they wanted to put any freshmen on that second team yesterday. Why would they put walk-ons in front of them? I don't think they wanted to any of them think that they were getting the leg up. I think all the freshmen were on the
full pads, honestly. You may stay that way for the first few days.
Yeah, I think so too. But I do think eventually it's not going to keep on running in 2 walk-ons with that second group. So that first movement that we see with these offensive line guys that move sort of up into that second group, I think that'll be a good barometer of how Coach Flood is sort of seeing them, because I feel like that's sort of giving them a nod and saying, all right, I'm kind of elevating you up here to the rest of this group, wherever I didn't want to come in and say like there's 1 or 2 guys in these 2 positions that are already being anointed as ahead of the others, right? And here's the fact of the matter, guys. If you look at that second group too, Jalen Garth, Max Merrill, those guys aren't immune from being supplanted in any single way by any of these. I agree with everything you guys said about the way that this offensive line looks from fall camp. Just if you take fall camp and you compare it to spring camp, just by the eyeball test, when you walk in there and you see this big, massive group of offensive linemen. Now we're comparing it to what in spring camp was just. They didn't even have 10 starters. They didn't have a full 2 deep, and the ones they had were. Some of those guys weren't even very good. You took a look at what this group. With these 7 new guys, it just. Talk about an infusion of these. Young players that have these massive, physical profiles. The difference, to say it was a night and day difference, would probably be an understatement. Like I can't even. It's hard to even think of an adjective or a way of describing what a difference it is, just with the way that everything looks. But yeah, man. I came away, thinking, like I said, Cam Williams just looks like he's going to be ready to go. I've always said he's going to play right tackle. People argue with me, said no, he's going to play guard. There's no way. I said, look, he's going to be a right tackle. And Campbell, whenever he gets on that sled, that 2-man sled, he was on that 2-man sled with Malik Agbo yesterday. And it's just funny. Anybody who played football even at the high school level, knows that you get on that 2-man sled and you don't want to be the one who's embarrassed when the other guy kind of goes so much harder than you and that sled wheels around, because it's like it's getting so much more. And like Agbo is just you can just tell Campbell, man, he's got such explosive power through his hips. Whenever he hits into that thing, he's built like a fire hydrant. And he has such raw power and explosiveness so that whenever he hits the sled, this other poor guy over here, it's like the whole sled just wheels around just because of the power that DJ Campbell brings to it. So
I got a picture of him hitting that sled, and it looks like he's damn near picking the thing off the ground, man.
It really is. I mean, you can't really tell much from what we were able to see today, but I mean, it's for a guy to be able to show you that much, even when he's just hitting sleds and tackling dummies and stuff like that, it's imagine what he's going to look like whenever the pads go on and these guys are really hitting each other with live bullets flying.
Alex, I've failed to do something at the beginning of the show. I want to do it now. And then whenever I host, I always like to throw it to you because I feel like you can tell it better than anyone else. But myperfectfranchise.net, I did not mention at the beginning. But Blake, if you put that graphic up on the screen and let Alex take over, tell us about your friend Andy, your homeboy, your rich guy who takes you to all these fancy, fun, amazing things.
Yeah, man. Well, he's definitely rich. And the reason that he's rich is because he knows how to select franchises, which ones are right for him, and he's done such a good job with it that he started doing it for other people. And so he's like a consultant. You don't pay Andy any money. That's one thing to keep in mind here. These franchises that are looking for franchisees, they're the ones who pay Andy whenever he brings them candidates to open up franchises for them. And so he's out there, what he's doing is he's trying to tailor a plan that's right for you, the right kind of franchise, whether you're somebody who's a displaced business executive, whether you're somebody who is just looking to maybe get some passive income going, want to make a little investment in something that you don't really need to oversee, but something where you can just have a good passive income, maybe as you transition into retirement or through different careers. If you found yourself in a situation where you just want to be your own boss and you want to be able to have control over your future financially and otherwise as far as your free time, give Andy a call, Andy Ludecky at myperfectfranchise.net. He's an Orange Bloods member. He's a great dude. He's helped numerous people on the board with this. And mainly, I think I'm like one more I think he's like, he told me, it's like every 6 of these that he does, he's going to take me on a fishing trip. I think he's like 5 right now. So the next one of you who does it, I'll be able to get flown out to Alabama for another fishing trip. And he said this time we're going to go after snook. So please, so please give Andy a call, man. He's an awesome dude. He's fun as hell. You couldn't find a nicer guy.
Jason, if you could open up any franchise, what would you do? What would be a Jason Suchomel franchise?
I know what it is for me, but Jason can go first.
So other than a strip club, let's see. Honestly, man, every time I drive by a damn Chick-fil-A, that line is like wrapped around like 5 times. So I don't think their profit sharing is great or something, maybe not, but Chick-fil-A sure seems to be awfully successul, man. Those things, I don't think you're not going to lose money with a Chick-fil-A. I know that, man.
Yeah, they don't know. The profit sharing is not good, so you wouldn't love that. So what about you, Alex? What would be yours?
I have 3. One just car wash, 2 washateria, and 3 would be anything where any like ice stand, like by a beach or by a lake. I would love to own one of those ice machines where you can buy bags of ice.
What is a washateria?
Like a laundromat.
Oh, well, yeah, laundromat.
I didn't know what he was saying either. I was like,
cafeteria where you go wash your clothes. What are we talking about?
I was like, well, I guess
washateria not a thing. Did I just make that up? I don't know.
Considering we understood laundromat and we didn't know what you meant the first time, I would probably say you may have made that one
You're
up.
like my daughter the other day. She said someone was sleep talking, and I go, you don't sleep talk, you sleep walk, you talk in your sleep. Alex, a laundromat, not a washateria. You don't sleep talk, you talk in your sleep. But, hey, can I circle back to this question from Tracy Williams? And can we get some burnt orange buses instead of the yellow ones? And someone says, doesn't the university operate its own campus bus system? Why they were like Hutto school buses that they brought the players to the practice fields on, right?
Yes.
I don't know, school buses. They were
Dude,
Hutto,
it's been
Hutto
like that
ISD.
forever, though, right? It's been like that
why the
forever.
hell Hutto ISD yellow school buses? I saw that. I'm like, what is the Hutto like football team here watching practice? What are we doing here? But no.
Some of those dudes walk. Some of those
Yeah.
dudes walk. They don't want to get on those old yellow dogs, man.
It is such a. Let me tell you, guys. I tweeted out them arriving on the bus thing yesterday. I think so far. Let me see. I'm looking at my stats. It was well over. Let's see. It was well over 1,000 likes, but the comments. Okay, it got 205,000 views.
Oh,
Yes, and the comments on here from people who are clowning Texas and the yellow bus thing is beyond out of control. I mean, it is crazy. It's got 438,000 impressions. That tweet does from yesterday. There's been a lot of people talking about that school bus thing, which is interesting though because they did do a charter in the spring. Like I did have that a video of that as well, and then it went yellow bus and
from Hutto. I don't understand why they're getting them all the way from Hutto IST, but whatever. Man, I don't know.
That's a Del Conte question, right? That has to be something. Someone's got to at Del Conte and ask him about that. I was going to come back to you in a second, Jason. I got to ask you a question. Your guy Malik Murphy, like that is your guy. He was a full participant in practice yesterday. How big of a deal was that?
First off, I'm disappointed in Malik because I was standing there taking pictures and he walked by me. He looked at me. He didn't give me a what's up. He didn't give me a hookup. He didn't even acknowledge me. I swear the coaches must have told him, do not acknowledge the media. Because
yes, he's officially a Longhorn.
Yeah, exactly. So they've broken him. But no, Malik is my dude. I love him. But man, I tell you what, just good to see him out there. First, again, look at the photo gallery in Orange Blood. There's some pictures with him with the other quarterbacks, and people on Orange Bloods were talking about it. He dwarfs the other quarterbacks, including Quinn Ewers, who's a pretty big guy in his own right. But, good to see Malik out there. I'm not going to say it again. It's going to be tough sledding to crack that lineup. You got, obviously, Quinn Ewers. You got Hudson Card. You got Arch coming in behind Malik Murphy. But from a pure arm talent, Anwar, in terms of being able to just, arm strength and throw the ball, throw every route in the route tree, you got to work on accuracy and that kind of type of stuff. But Malik Murphy's physical tools are just off the charts good. Now, will that ever translate? He's got to him playing at Texas. We'll see. But good to see him out there in full capacity. He obviously wasn't in the spring. And Malik is my guy, so to speak. I was a big fan of his as a recruit. So, I hope he does well. And it was good to see him out there as a full participant yesterday.
Alex, back to you. So one of the things that, Ketch and I talked about this a little bit last night. And, I know you were busy with a bunch of other things, but when talking to Sarkisian after yesterday's practice, he said he wasn't as concerned about the linebacker position as he was a few months ago. He felt like having Jet Bush back there adds a little bit, having Diamante Tucker also adds in some depth. He talked about Devin Richardson emerging and feeling good about that. So, and he talked about Jalen Ford doing well. And so he said I'm not as concerned as I was a couple of months ago. That's what he said yesterday. You looked at the linebacker position yesterday. Is his lack of concern justified in your mind?
What if he's probably talking about this season, right? Because after this season, it gets rough. No more Brockermeyer, no more Overshown, no more Jet Bush. It was Tucker Dorsey. He'll be gone too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then what? You're left with Ford, Benda, Richardson, Derek Brown Jr. Who else is there? I don't have my depth chart pulled up, but I'll pull it up right now. I think that the main issue that people worry about in linebacker recruiting and stuff is, not so much. Clearly, they have needed immediate help. They've been bad at linebacker, but it's going to be different personnel this year than it was last year. If Overshown can stay healthy, there's not going to be Brockermeyer out there. Jalen Ford will be an upgrade on whatever Brock. I still don't know what Jeff Choate was doing last year with just rolling out Brockermeyer for the, nothing against him, but so yeah, Overshown, Brockermeyer, and Jeb Bush will be gone. Travell Johnson, I did not watch him enough yesterday. Jason, did you watch him at all to see what? I don't even know what number he wears.
No, because they keep the defensive players 100 yards away from us. So
I can't
know.
even
get pictures of those guys.
So he's wearing 25. He's wearing 25. He's and he's still listed as a linebacker. So, but golly, 186 pounds. He's not going to stay at linebacker. So just like, I think in the long term, you certainly worry about it. You worry about linebacker recruiting, but this year, I think they're fine. Jalen Ford's a good player. Overshown's a good player. Devin Richardson's shown that he's pretty good. Tucker, he's been unbelievable at JMU. Devin Richardson has put on weight since he came. He came in looking a little bit slight, but he's gotten better and better. I've talked about how he flashed a little bit during the spring. So I think right now it's probably fine. I'm a little bit like Sarkisian. I'm not as worried as I was previously. Certainly, taking a longer, taking the longest view in the room, you should be real worried about inside linebacker, just because after this season they are thin, and the reserves aren't really showing up in recruiting as far as the guys who they currently have on board.
Jason, I definitely piggyback that. I'm going to jump into that from a recruiting perspective. I know they got the guy from Hawaii, from a linebacker position. How is linebacker recruiting going? It doesn't seem like it's going that well, right? And I think there's a lot of the guys are off the board that Texas has offered, correct?
Well, the big one, Anthony Hill, is the big one who committed to A&M last weekend. I know you and Ketch talked about that on Monday. That's a big blow. There's no way to sugarcoat that or find a silver lining. Five-star linebacker committing to your in-state rival is not good. Samaje Burrell is committed. Leona Lafau, you mentioned the kid from Hawaii. Stick around your computer, Anwar, 3:00 tomorrow. I think Texas will make an addition to that linebacker room. So Darian Gillette. So he's a Rivals 100 player. So there's good news.
Do you think he'll play inside linebacker?
What I was told, Alex, is he will kind of start as an edge guy with the ultimate goal of transitioning him into an inside linebacker. Right now, he's just so athletic. You just put him out on the edge and let him do his thing. But ultimately,
right, because they have so many big, awesome, athletic guys out on the edge right now that they want to take one and move him back to fucking inside line. I'm sorry, back to inside linebacker. Jesus Christ,
that is the ultimate goal.
What a backwards ass way of looking at things.
Well, let's see who else they get for that edge roll. Listen, we're talking 2 or 3 years down the road, but they've got a couple other irons in the fire, Anwar, if you will. But they've got 2 committed right now. I expect them to add a third tomorrow in Darian Gillette, who's a top national prospect. So doesn't completely erase the loss of Anthony Hill. There's just no way. Anthony Hill is a true linebacker. He can play inside for you from day one. But it's not great, but it's getting better. Now the problem is they just haven't recruited the linebacker position very well the last couple of years. So Alex mentioned all the guys that they're losing. It's not like they have young reinforcements that are all automatically ready to step in. So even Darian Gillette's going to be he's missing his senior year with a knee injury. So it may take him a year or two to get ready. So, I don't think Diamante Tucker Dorsey is going to be the last that we see from the transfer portal for Texas at linebacker. I would think that would almost be priority number 1 for next year in terms of landing transfers.
All right, we'll go to the super chat from our man Eric Torres and Alex. I'll let you handle this one. Guys, what's your thoughts on the D line? It's laughable that Murphy is second team behind Colburn. What has Colburn shown to keep his starting job? It's year 5. Alex, take it away.
Well, he hasn't. I can't explain it. I don't know how they can explain it either. Byron Murphy's better than Keandre Coburn in every way that you look at it. There's really no question. There's no arguments that can be made for it. It's an incoherent strategy. With that being said, though, I think that some of it has to do with the fact that it's like, I mean, they're going to play equal amounts. I mean, let me just look at the player participation from last year, and we just see. So the defensive player participation from last season, we had Byron Murphy played on 33.74% of snaps. Keandre Coburn played on 44% of snaps. So, I mean, I guess he did play 10% less snaps than he did last year. But Eric Torres also asked a follow-up question just about the production and the disruption profile of these two players. Byron Murphy on a per snap basis was the most productive player on the whole entire defense, bar none. It wasn't particularly close as far as guys that had say like 100 snaps. If we say 100 snap sample last year, I sorted A to. I'm like, why is Ray Thornton up here? It's because I sorted Z to A. Okay, so A to Z. So yeah, out of guys with at least 100 snaps, Byron Murphy generated production once every 5.87 snaps. He led the team, and Byron Murphy had 22 run stuffs last year, which to me is unbelievable when you consider that Keandre Coburn only has 17 and he played 368 snaps. Keandre Coburn generated production once every 10.37 snaps. Byron Murphy generated production once every 5.87 snaps. Good for best on the whole entire team. His nearest competitor who played an equally large number of snaps would have been Anthony Cook, and he was at 8.01 snaps per his production caused. With Byron Murphy, as far as the overall tackles, had more overall tackles than Keandre Coburn. Keandre Coburn did have a sack, but if you look at the pressures caused, and remember, this is 368 snaps for Keandre Coburn versus 276 for Byron Murphy. Okay, Keandre Coburn on 368 snaps had only 6 pressures. Byron Murphy on 100 less snaps had 10 pressures. They both had an equal number of tackle for losses, and then just the run stuffs to me is the big thing. 22 run stuffs for Byron Murphy, 17 for Keandre Coburn. So not only was Byron Murphy a lot better at getting to the passer with these quarterback hits, quarterback pressures. Not only was he just as good with the TFLs, but just with actually stuffing the run. So in every aspect of the game, he was better. Also, Keandre Coburn last year, people forget he had 2 penalties, no penalties last year for Byron Murphy. So Byron Murphy, the most effective player on the defense. I don't know why he's not playing ahead of Coburn. I would just say maybe defer to seniority. Maybe they see Coburn just a bigger dude that takes up more space. Maybe they know something about Murphy, about the amount of time that he can play, that he's effective. And maybe he's really this awesome Tasmanian devil like this only 35% of the time. You get him in there for 45, 50% of the time. Maybe he loses steam. I'm not sure. But I would say that coming into this year, he's clearly, I mean, he's going to – I don't think that the split between him and Coburn is going to be that drastic as far as – who plays more. I think it'll probably be 1 series on, 1 series off, 1 series on, 1 series off. And the numbers will shake out at the very end where Coburn probably plays a little bit more than Murphy does. But I don't think it'll be this year like it was last year where it was, what did I say, 34% versus 44% of snaps. You'll probably see something more like 40% of snaps versus 36, and it'll feel like a wash.
Just want to let you know, Charles, let you know that you're invited to the barbecue. Okay, Alex.
What's the barbecue? I love barbecue.
It's code for the bros. The bros think you're cool, is what that means.
Well, hey, man. I love barbecue. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I didn't want to be cool. He wants the actual barbecue. Man.
When do we get the actual meat? The actual delicious smoked meats here. Come on, that's what we're talking about.
you get to, yeah. It just means all the bros in the thread think you're cool, and they're co-signing on you. Is what that's all that means, Alex.
Thank you. The barbecue. Oh man, that's great.
Jason, we did. We'll do this for a few more minutes. We've gone probably about 40 minutes and really haven't mentioned Quinn or Hudson at all. Like, obviously, I threw you the Malik Murphy thing because that's your guy, but did you get a chance to see the quarterbacks at all? Were you able to glean anything from that as Alex now dissects what the barbecue really is and isn't? And don't worry. I will send Alex a link to Urban Dictionary. I'll work on him. He'll be okay. Did you see anything? Alex, like, what's an Urban Dictionary? Did you?
You got to explain Urban Dictionary, which explains.
Yeah, it's a link. Did you see anything for the QBs yesterday? Anything stand out about you from Quinn or Hudson Card at all?
Honestly, Anwar, not particularly. I think the first drill when I first showed up, Hudson took the first rep, which whatever somebody's got to, but I really didn't. I thought Malik running third team was interesting. The thing about Quinn Ewers and Hudson Card, you watch them in the settings that we got to watch them in yesterday. Okay, we're talking just routes on air for the most part. I mean, both those guys look like $1 million. Okay, in that situation, I think it's going to be the full scrimmages when it's 11-on-11 stuff. That's where you're going to see Quinn Ewers separate. I think maybe things slow down a little bit more for him than they do for Hudson. We'll see. Maybe Hudson made strides from last year, but I think Quinn, in terms of full scrimmage, live action type stuff, that's where you'll see him separate. I mean, both those guys, if it was just like an NFL pro day, which is somewhat what we're watching there yesterday at practice, I mean, both those guys have seriously first-round talent, arm talent. So they both look impressive just watching what we watched yesterday, but I don't think what we saw really moved the needle in terms of separating one from the other. But I think that happens. I wrote in my column, Tuesday or Wednesday, Sark said he has a date in mind. He didn't say what it was. I could seriously see it being like after that first scrimmage. So maybe not this weekend, but next weekend. I think moving to that following week, we could have a decision as early as that. And like most everybody else, I'm still expecting Quinn Ewers to be the guy that separates there.
What about you, Alex? Did you get to see those guys much at all yesterday? I know you were roaming, and doing a ton of different things.
Yeah, it's just hard with your, you're just like a fire hose of info you're trying to take in, and just, you got to know how to watch practice too, to be able to understand sort of what these drills imply and what it means about who's probably starting and stuff. Like, there's a million things to take in, and so over the next few days, I'm going to take some more time to really just sit back and enjoy watching these quarterbacks, because I'm like Jason, man. That's a quarterback battle you can kind of enjoy. I didn't think about it like Jason just mentioned it. Like, if you saw these dudes at a pro day throwing these routes versus airs, especially some of these like out routes, like 20, 25 yards down the field. These guys are throwing these things on ropes. I mean, they look good out there, throwing versus air for sure. So I wrote in my column, I said, look, you guys are I would love you. I mean, you know me, I love to have a take. I love to be sure about something and come out and just say, I'm sure about this. I know this is true. It's why I do the deep dig. It's why I do the stuff I do, is because I don't want to just have a flimsy opinion about something. I want to have a strong opinion and stand by it. And I can't with these guys. They both looked really good. And so to me, I feel like I wrote in my column, at least that's better. It's better for me to come and say that than it would be like, man, both those guys really missed a bunch of stuff. Like, I don't really know who looked better. Like, they both had their faults. It wasn't like that. Now, here's what I'll say. My opinion is, it's a strong opinion. What's going to happen is they're going to get into stuff where it's settings different than we saw today. And we're going to see guys under pressure, and we're going to see when the turnovers start happening and things like that. And when that stuff starts happening, that's what's going to be sort of the line of demarcation for Sarkisian whenever he identifies his starter. If there's somebody who starts throwing picks, or somebody starts taking sacks, or if Hudson Card looks like he did in his first game as a freshman player at Texas in one of these scrimmages, at that point Quinn gets named starting quarterback. That I'm sure of. Not that Quinn will be named starting quarterback, but just that in a situation like that, this is going to come down to how they handle pressure when the bullets fly, and how they can limit the number of turnovers, whether that's interceptions or fumbles, stuff like that.
One of the last things, I'll get to, Alex, and I know we got a lot of things to get done, so I'm going to ask you this last one, and then we'll probably get ready for some parting shots. Unless Jason, you've got some recruiting stuff you want to talk about, so maybe we'll go. I'll do this. I'll go to Jason for recruiting, then we'll go into.
I'm going to put that in my parting shot on where I'll talk.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so that sounds perfect. The receiver position, Alex. First of all, Troy O'Meary was back out there yesterday. He was kind of a full participant in practice. Sarkisian said that he faded a little bit towards the end of practice, which he felt like that was kind of normal to be expected. But O'Meary was out there. You also had a chance to see Brennan Thompson as well. You made a little bit of a note on him, Xavier Worthy. So from that position, the receiver guys, what did you see? And if you wanted to splash in some tight end, feel free. But what did you see on that side of the ball? Okay,
so with the wide receivers, I thought it was, the starting wide receivers is just what you thought. Nair at the X, Jordan at the Whittington at the Z. Whittington in the slot, Xavier over at the Z. Behind Xavier was Ajay Hall, but directly behind Whittington was actually Tariq Milton, as Jason pointed out. Kind of interesting there. That'll be a battle between him and Brennan Thompson. It's like Anwar, you asked at the press conference the other day if there's a young guy and an old guy, who kind of bring the same juice. It's like, do you defer? Are you a Charlie Strong that defer, or was that Charlie or Tom that deferred to the younger one? I forget.
I think it was Charlie. Charlie was always younger.
Man, you go with the younger guy. I mean, and look, Brennan Thompson looks really good. He's smaller than I thought, which is so stupid. I thought he was going to be bigger than this because I should have looked at his weight and remembered he's a 165-pound kid, But he did remind me. I wrote down in the column last night. He reminded me a lot of the guy from the Senior Bowl this last year, Calvin Austin from Memphis, who was a 4th-round draft pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just an all-around dude like that. Who, honestly, I mean, for 160, I'm like he's slider, but he's not. It's not like he has this big BMI problem where he's just like super, super duper, really skinny and stuff. He's kind of a slight guy, but he's built really well. Man, he's got great hands. The way he looks it in, the way he frames the football, and the way he can get upfield like a jackrabbit right afterwards. I think it's gonna be hard to keep him off the field. If we're just talking about a backup to Whittington. I mean, to me, from what I saw to Milton versus what I saw to Brennan Thompson, I'm just not sure how long that stuff lasts. And then, but behind Nair, that'll just be interesting because Casey Kane was running directly behind him, number 88, and then O'Meary, 21, behind him. I noticed I probably started noticing in about period 5, Anwar, that I thought that O'Meary, remember on that one deep 9 route down the sidelines where he had to kind of take himself out and he had to go stand in the shade and he had to go get water. Like, I was like, man, this guy, I couldn't tell him, like, is he injured again? I didn't think he would be injured again because there was all the testing that they did of these guys' speed during the summertime where they tested their speed, and O'Meary got like the 5th best time of anybody on the team. And so I said, well, it can't be the knee that's bothering him. I wonder if he's just gassed. Maybe he's just not used to this heat or something like that. So we'll see how he kind of continues to evolve through camp. He still is wearing the brace, I believe, on that right knee. The right knee, is it the
right? I believe if you're correct.
I think it's the right knee.
Smaller brace though. It looks smaller.
Much smaller brace, and he doesn't have that damn. When you remember that damn, I forget, like some sleeve down his whole leg like he had last time. It doesn't look like it's quite as cumbersome a brace that he has on. So we'll sort of see with that. I think that probably out of all these though, the most interesting would be there in the slot, because you also, besides Brennan Thompson, you also remember you have 17. What's his name? Savion Red. So you have Savion Red there in the slot too. So, but I do think Brennan Thompson and Tariq Milton, that'll be an interesting thing to follow. I don't think it's long before Brennan Thompson even just works his way onto the field and, as some sort of situational player with the first team. He kind of looks like he brings that kind of juice. He's a good young prospect.
Is this the comment that had that little face before I asked you the question? Because you had a look of disgust on your face, and I was like, "Is this it? Is this what they gave you that look of disgust?"
I was going to comment on this. Alex had a look. Like Danny, before that comment, had a question: who won the bet, Casey Thompson, me or Alex? And then he follows up: Alex is data driven. He can't conclude something off of one practice. That was the whole point of the Casey Thompson bet, is that he did conclude something off of one practice.
Casey looked good that day, man. Casey looked good.
Danny's talking out of both sides of his mouth. I think Danny's trying to Danny knows exactly what he's doing, man. He's trying to get us going playing against each other.
Alex, here's a question for you. Danny wants to know, can he get a Wasterach refund if he doesn't win his league this year? You guys putting out guarantees?
Yeah, I guarantee if you get to your championship and you lose by 0.01 points like I did, because it cockamamie captain rules and stuff like that. No, we're not giving you any. There's no refunds. There's no crying in fantasy football, guys. Come on now. What are we doing?
Yeah, but that's going to get into my parting shot as well. And by the way, Paul, Joseph tells you to check your phone. Joseph, maybe Paul don't want to talk to you. Like, I mean, I can tell him, but I mean, he's got a phone. Most people check their phone every couple of minutes, so it might be personal. I'm just going to put that out there. Listen, we've both been almost at an hour, and so, everyone's got stuff to do. We've got practice that is going on, within the next couple of hours, so we got to get out of here and grab some lunch. Alex has got kids, all that kind of stuff. So, Jason, why don't you start off with some parting shots? Alex, you go, and then I'll close it out.
Yeah, I was going to call out Danny on my parting shot. We already addressed that. So, we still haven't settled that bet because we always say we're going to bring back Dustin McComas and settle that bet because he has to have a vote. My fear is I want to settle that bet like next week because my fear is Casey Thompson goes to Nebraska and has a really good start to the year, and then Alex would be like, "Oh no, I won the bet!" Like
he's on the early Heisman watch list.
Yeah, exactly. The agreement was by his junior year that he'd be a good quarterback. But two things, Anwar, is last week on my parting shot, I didn't do a rant like Alex does, but I kind of called out the sports information department. I'm like, come on, I mean, give us a few days so we can plan and anticipate. And we got, like Alex says, his kids he's going to bring to practice. And I've got kids in sports and one in band and kids at jobs I have to take them to. And my wife and I do. They let it, I'm going to eat some crow, man. They let us know on Friday that practice would be about 2:45 on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this week. And they've stuck to that schedule. So, tip of the cap to the media relations department. I appreciate them giving us heads up and time to plan. It's made my life a little easier. And the heat part sucks, but I kind of like the 2:45 practice window better than whatever it was, 8:30, when we're all having to drive an hour and a half in traffic to get to campus. So I'll take the 2:45. From a personal standpoint, it's worked well with my schedule. But thank you, SID, for giving us heads up on that. And then my last part of my parting shot will be a little bit of recruiting. I mentioned Darian Gillette. He's going to announce tomorrow at 3:00. I feel really good about that being Texas. Looking forward to next week, the 10th. So next Wednesday, Cedric Baxter, the running back out of Florida, who Rivals has him outside the top 100. I expect that's going to change. They have a rankings update coming in a few weeks. I think Cedric Baxter, Texas A&M, Miami, and Florida. And I feel really, really good about that one being Texas. And then looking past that, August 15th, I think I can probably say this safely now. I think Texas is going to get another commitment on August 15th. The player hasn't told me that it's okay to put his name out there with that date. But if you're a recruiting fan, you probably know who I'm talking about. So circle the date for tomorrow, circle the date for August 10th, circle the date for August 15th. I think Texas is going to pick up three pretty big commitments. We're talking Rivals 100 players that should be joining the fold in the next week and a half or so.
Sounds good. Alex, what's on your mind for a parting shot?
I don't really have one. Oh, wait, do you know what? Hall of Fame game tonight.
Do you guys
want to watch? I'm not sure how much I'm going to get to. I would love to like turn it on outside and drink some booze and throw some cornhole or something. But I have radio right now on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio on Mondays, 10 to midnight Eastern, and Thursdays 10 to midnight Eastern. Also now Saturdays 5 to 7 Eastern, and now starting soon Sundays 9 to 11 Eastern. So I have these late night shows. There's no way I can go out and drink a few beers and still be up by start a show at 9 p.m. Talk for 2 straight hours about fantasy after having some beers and watching these games. So probably won't be doing that, but I'll definitely be watching it and checking it out and enjoying it for the first 5 minutes before I start saying who the hell are all these guys. But that's how it always goes in the Hall of Fame game. But I'll try and get some DFS lineups in and stuff. It's a good time of year, man. We're gonna have football on tonight. We're going to football practice today, man. God bless it, man. We're almost back. By the time we get to the end of November, I'll be cursing football and saying, man, I can't wait till draft season again. I can't wait to start looking at these prospects and stuff. But right now it just feels good to imagine football and imagine the crackling of the leaves under your feet as the seasons change. It's some cool sweater weather. And just like, it feels like it's a lifetime away, dude. But the fact of the matter is it's just right around the corner. It starts tonight.
Yeah, no, I'm even though it's the Raiders and the Jaguars, because it's football, I probably will watch at least maybe 10 minutes of it, because I'm not even quite sure how much these starters even playing in these games at all. So
it's going to be Jake Luton starting for the Jaguars, and then I forgot who the back was. It Kyle Slaughter or somebody's going to be the starter for the Raiders. Yeah.
Oh man, hey Blake, it didn't take long for the bots to come. Like they usually around the 50-minute mark we get the adult right somewhere around 50. Like they must know around the 50-something minute mark, 55. It's adult dating bot things. I just want to know who the hell is actually clicking on this. Like,
oh wait, am I not supposed to click on those? Lovechat.xyz, DM me.
The bot showed up. All right, so my parting shot is somewhat Alex related. And Alex, I don't want you to be offended by what I'm about to say.
And that's always a good way to start a parting shot.
Yeah, I don't want you to be offended, but just allow me time to explain where I'm going with this. I need your help, Orange Bloods people, because I need a fantasy football website that I can look at with information that I'm not in the same league with these guys. So the thing is, Roster Watch has great information. They have great information. My problem is I play in the league with everyone from Roster Watch. And so that's somewhat problematic for me because I don't know. So Jason, what I will do in the season is I look at Roster Watch to see what they say for waiver wire pickups because I know they have to be honest. They have to be honest to their viewers and their readers, right? So I look and see what they say. So then I know exactly who Alex is going to try to go for this week. Because they tell you on a Monday exactly these are the guys you should go for Tuesday, right? So, but I need something that's a little sneaky where I don't. So now it helps me to know what they're thinking, but I need to know what other people are thinking. So ESPN, everyone's on there. Yahoo's, everyone's on it. Fantasy Pros seems so cliche. I need a hidden gem. I need some way to. I was good at fantasy football when I first got into the league, and I've really kind of gone into that mediocre phase, and it kind of hit or miss. And I got to get back to it. I'm determined. I will be using Roster Watch to say that, but I need a supplement to Roster Watch. Maybe I'll say it like that. I'm going to use Roster Watch, and I need a supplement to Roster Watch. So if you guys can have a good supplement so I can finally beat these bastards, please pass it on. Okay. Yeah, that wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be.
Dude, whenever you started that, before you started saying it, you said, Alex, I don't want you to be offended by this. I'm like, Jesus, what's about to happen here? Oh my God.
Well, that's what it's. I see fantasy footballers on there. Hit me up. Either DM me on Twitter, email me, Anwar at orangebloods.com. But I'm serious. I got to get back to it because I'm dropping $200 every year. And I just feel like it's just a donation at this point. And I really want to find a way to get my money back. So that's about it. Listen, we got practice that's going on. So make sure you get on orangebloods.com for all the practice and the latest stuff. Everything that Alex broke down, just for real quick for Orange Bloods thing. And what's our promo right now, Jason? What's our promo that's going on? Promo kickoff 2022. That's a free month of Orange Bloods, correct?
Yeah, get Orange Bloods through the month of August, free through the month of August. Promo code is kickoff 2022.
Everything
so
that Alex
basically a full month free. Kickoff 2022.
So everything that Alex was breaking down when he started going to the Coburn stats and Murphy stats and all that kind of stuff, Alex wasn't reading off of someone's website. Like Alex wasn't grabbing that thing from somebody else. That's his own original research that he's been doing for years and years. One Excel spreadsheet after another. After each game, Alex probably spends at least 3 days looking at every single play and then jotting down what every single person does on every single play. And then he puts that in print form. So if you want to just go beyond just being the average fan and actually has some in-depth expert analysis, that's the kind of stuff that you get at Orange Bloods. You get the insider recruiting things where, again, you can get on Twitter and see a little bit of things of what's going on and maybe read the tea leaves, or you can get on there and see what Jason's talking about from a recruiting perspective and really get to know depth and detail that goes back. Again, so you're not just the average fan, those kind of things that you get there. You get your reporting there, you get your analysis there, and then you get a Longhorn community that, listen, you can post, you can say, I want to go on a vacation in Bora Bora. Anybody got recommendations, and someone will give you like their top 5 things. It's an active community that someone said Alex does his research while at the Washateria. But you get all that on orangebloods.com. So it's a great time to sign up. It's a great time to be a part of it with Quinn, with Arch, everything that's going on. You just don't want to miss out. Don't be an average fan, and don't be cheap either. This, that. Okay, all right. Super chat. Someone's sneaking in the super chat right as Alex was about to go grab his kids. Is Jaden Blue a shoot
up the depth chart talent, or is he a stay at a third? I'll tell you this: he's the kind of talent who can shoot up the depth chart for sure. Once Bijan Robinson and Roshan Johnson are gone, Bijan's a Heisman finalist, and Roshan is one of the team's, maybe the team's biggest off-field leader and a really good player that NFL teams are interested in. But after this season, it's absolutely wheels up for Jaden Blue for sure.
He'll push for the starting job. He'll push.
Yep.
I mean, listen, I'm a big Jonathan Brooks fan. I was when he was at Hallsville, but he'll push Jonathan Brooks. He's that kind of talent. But I think this year is probably a little too early with just such a stacked running back room.
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, you were able to get that in there. All right. For Jason, for Alex, for Ketch, who will probably be back at some point next week, and for Blake, our producer, who does everything behind the scenes. Thank you guys for watching. Hit like and subscribe. We'll be back soon. And so for all the guys, all the fellas,